families. This is a cherry tree, which I don't know how many of y'all have seen the cherry tree. It's actually the middle piece is cherry. This other vine, I'm not sure what it is. I know it's some sort of Asian, almost like kind of a spinach type of thing. But anyway, so I'm sharing this cherry tree because I just missed apparently the cherries this year, but I grew up with a cherry tree in my yard, so it's just very, very, very special to me. I just love something about certain fruits and picking them off the trees. Just, yeah, definitely vibing it. So anyway, heads up, this is probably gonna be a slightly longer video because it's actually, I'm realizing, a combination. Oh, and that's a figgy tree, which of course didn't ripen this year, which actually, I don't know if y'all know that a fig tree this size could actually fruit. Fig trees don't fruit every year. I haven't quite vibed into, I haven't been around any one particular tree long enough to see, is it every other year, every couple of years, is it just based off of rain and, you know, sun and temperature or whatever. So anyway, not sure what this is. I've been told it's edible. I suppose every tree in this yard is edible, such as this is a lemon tree, apple, and then around, of course, that side there's the avocado and the orange tree, which I've been enjoying, actually. Little mini, not quite fully ripened, but oranges all the same. So anyway, I'm diverging. So once again, this video is going to be a combination of the first video from yesterday and the first video from today with an expansion. So first and foremost, big, huge shout out to Michelle for her question, because it actually really helped me vibe more into my vibe and vibe into it from a space of real emotional connection, both from slower vibrations and higher vibrations. And it's funny because I actually totally admitting that I had vibed into the question. So what I was sharing earlier in regards to, so where's the change come in, I think I admitted in the video it was very much a mental thing, and I had attempted to vibe into a specific situation. Matter of fact, the situation in which I've described in the video, where I was really open, had opened up the 2 lower, maybe 3 lower chakras, and then connected with someone or shared with someone, and their vibe was different, and it threw my energy for a tailspin. So I had specifically vibed into that experience today. My sister was like, yeah, not vibing that, not feeling. What I realized is I have no real emotional connection with the experience and the person, which is why I don't have an emotional connection to the experience and the possibility of vibing into it and expanding and growing, because I have no real connection to the experience, neither high nor low. The person doesn't, you know, he's not a threat to me, but he's also not someone who I'm really deeply connected to. So my sister was just like, yeah, no, we gain nothing from vibing into this. I'll just be totally honest, and just kind of also laughing at, I would say the selfishness, the agenda of that, but just being completely honest with it. So happily, after I did the video, I saw Michelle's question. At first I didn't see the beautiful part, and I was just kind of like, just kind of went into my normal mental response to it. And then when I actually saw, it was funny because I even was gonna respond that I was like, I didn't even get her question initially, like I just didn't get it, but it wasn't until I saw the beautiful part that I was just like, whoa, wait, this is actually something for me to really vibe into. So it actually helped me. And because it was like I have a fast and a slow vibration, my vibration went in 2 different directions. So the fast vibration that came out of it first, it helped me really open up and expand what I was sharing, and then even simplify what I was sharing in regards to my vibe being both individualistic and collective. And so I vibe deeper into why I feel that my vibe is collective. First and foremost, I'm a female, but I was raised by males. I'm an Aquarian, even though that is described by some as a female energy, it's very mental, which is often thought of as male, and it's the way men tend to respond. So I obviously am a female. I can vibe into the female vibe of this. I also can vibe very much into the male vibe of it. So also something that I have shared with many of you, that I have experienced pretty much every trauma that you can experience to some level, some way, shape, form, or fashion, and other than dying, which obviously if you experience that one, then there's no more awareness, and so that's not even in the category, but everything else under that I have experienced. So of course and at the same time, I've studied pretty much all healing modalities, connected and even applying to some extent all healing modalities in my life. So it's like I am the wounded healer, quote unquote. I can vibe into, or do vibe into, everything, both masculine and feminine, both as wounded, both as healer. Also, being female Aquarian, I feel like there's a certain, and I've said this, on multiple occasions, I feel like there's a certain openness to the planetary energies, the universal energies, I would even say the ancestral energies that are present. And even just also being someone who is only who's of course hugely, westernized, yada yada. And then also only being 3 generations out of slavery. I think there's a certain openness, or matter of fact, there is a certain genetic response that I have that might be unique to those who either never have been enslaved, but of course, like I said, being quite westernized, I can totally vibe into their vibe, but also being can vibe into the energies genetically of people who are oppressed and enslaved and genocidal and genocide against and all of that. So vibe much more into where I can see where my energy, one reason that I'm sharing this as my own individual experience, but also once again as an expression, an example, as what the collective is going through, and potentially the opportunities that the collective could have to open their hearts, or us open our hearts. And then one other part of that is hugely, one of the things that came up was that I am, because of all of that, probably, I don't say probably, I think my vibe is that I definitely am, but I'm definitely open to the possibility, quite sensitive, and maybe quite a bit more sensitive than many people, because once again, all the traumas make someone sensitive. Experience that. All of the openness and studying makes someone sensitive, added on top of the traumas, and then being feminine, which tends to make us very sensitive, and then being a female Aquarian, once again makes me more sensitive. So I'm realizing why I'm quite sensitive, quite sensitive, and able to just vibe deeply into things. So that's the first part, as far as the fast vibrations that were inspired by the love, the question that Michelle shared, and the slower version. I'm gonna do a middle passage and then I'll do the slower. The one thing I will say is I vibed into when Michelle asked the question about, hey, basically saying, hey, beautiful, why don't you get, turn the camera on you. My mind automatically went into sensuality, because for me at this point, beauty and sensuality are one and the same, basically. In that, whenever someone is referring to someone's beauty, whether it's male or female, I feel vibe like it's either the person, there's generally 3 categories I think the person is in. Either they're interested in being sensual with that person, such as in the case of a male expressing beauty to a female, and I have yet to ever experience a male who compliments my beauty, who I am not at the same time sensing their desire for sensual contact with me. Even if someone said that's possible, I'd question, well, why would they address the beauty in the first place? Why not compliment something else? Be totally honest. I'd love to have that conversation with someone who really truly thinks that guys can compliment a woman's physical, and that there not being an underlying agenda of desire for sensuality. Like, I'd love that. But anyway, so or as in the case of a female, as in the case of Michelle, who is extremely beautiful and sensual herself, and so she was reflecting her own beauty and sensuality to me. And because I'll say, Michelle, if you're watching this video, mad compliments to you, because one of the first things that I noticed about you, first and foremost, was your energy, 2, your beauty, and 3, your sensuality, because I was just laughing inside at how much masculine attention you were getting, even in the garden center at Home Depot. So I vibe that her compliment was from that space, and where that females who are very beautiful and sensual within themselves will compliment another sister simply as a reflection of them themselves and what they like and what they do, and da-da-da. And then there's also the other category, which is a female, which is where obviously no interest in sensuality necessarily is there, which is where they have to admit that's my preferred complementary energy of another sister who I feel like there is no underlying agenda as far as sensual energy or interest in me, but also not in the third category, which is women who will compliment another woman out of a wishing that they could be that, as almost a depreciation of themselves. And that's, once again, experienced quite a bit of that, and that's not necessarily comfortable for me. So I really prefer people who are really vibing themselves and then giving me a compliment, because it feels like there's no underlying agenda in that. So that's the middle path, which was inspired by the Michelle's compliment in question, which you see why I totally was not going to type all of this. So the third one is the slower vibration, which really kind of vibes back into the question of where's the change in that. And so the other part, so let me just clarify. So one reason that as y'all see the different videos that I have done, I have been in front of the camera at different levels. One, when we did Cypher Honestly, fully in front of it, wearing, intentionally choosing beautiful clothing and colors and and jewelry and makeup, even though it was completely natural, yegua and henna, it still was with the intention of enhancing my physical attributes. And then, of course, the magic show, where I think I did like half of my face on camera, or maybe body parts. And then, of course, these where I'm not showing any. And I think, matter of fact, with magic show, I did some scenery and some with part of me showing type of things. So this has definitely been something I've been toggling with quite a bit, and just toggle with in general. So in regards to why I'm so connected with this question, though, first and foremost, I love sensuality. Oh my gosh, I was like, the reason that I could really vibe into this question is I absolutely love sensuality. Those who know me know that I love sensuality and beauty. Those who know me know, like, I love luxury things like sparkles, gold, color, bright color, fine materials. Yeah, I mean, I did go to fashion school for a reason, so I gotta be completely honest about that. I love beautifying my physical body. Like, yeah, let me just straight up and down. Love beautifying my space, love seeing beautiful things in nature. Hugely a part, with me having a Taurian moon and being a dragon, completely makes sense. So it's something that, part of me is just like, yeah, be in front of I'm also completely comfortable in front of the camera. Like, I even wrote initially in the response to Michelle, I'm completely comfortable in front of the camera, in front of an audience. It could be an audience stadium size. I'm golden. Matter of fact, I become more empowered and in charge, and sometimes even zenful, which you could see when I did Cypher Honestly. It kind of zenned me out. It actually relaxes me being in front of an audience and having the attention on me. So once again, I know that's like very ego-fied. I'm just being completely honest. So but then, of course, a part of me does say, I am learning, I am remembering to balance out my focus on the physical, focus on the individual, with the focus of source awareness, collective awareness. Also, one of the things that I shared with, as far as the videos, part of me is like, the answers are all within. We should be really vibing within. So I don't necessarily want people focusing a whole lot on me. I'd rather them be going into themselves and But now, of course, in doing the videos, I am also honoring the fact that we are tribal and a pack species, and that we learn from connections, and obviously emotionally nourished through connections, and yada yada yada. So, which is where I open up time to time to doing videos in honor of that. I think also a big thing is that I feel like at this point, a lot of people spend way more time focusing on others than themselves. So the second part of that is in regards to why I toggle with the concept of being in front of the camera is actually there was three, and I don't remember, because it was a spiritual, it was a mental, and it was an emotional. I don't remember what the mental one was, but guess it's not important. So we'll skip to the third one, the emotional. That a part of me, my physical avatar, what I'm calling my physical throne of awareness, has experienced huge amount of unwanted attention. Like even when I was saying, when I was recording yesterday, I think it was yesterday, and the dude like kind of came at me on a straight physical. Like this is one of those types where the person doesn't say hi, doesn't say, hey, what's your name, just like, hey, beautiful. It's just like no, and I automatically shut down, which I stated in the video. So a part of me, of course, in hesitating and being in front of the camera, though, a part of me is completely comfortable. A part of me is also like, not so sure about, you know, how much energy or what type of energy is going to be created from this space. So I guess the toggling kind of goes back to the initial question, is where's the change in that? And that was really where I was excited to say that a part of me, those of you who know me, it's funny because I have, I guess, quite a bunch of fear in me, but at the same time I am completely fearless in certain ways and certain experiences. So when it comes to doing things, I'll jump in front of a camera, no hesitation. I'll do any type of ritual. I was even laughing at myself recently, thinking like I was watching something about ayahuasca, and they were talking about how the person was hesitating on taking a second drink, and I was just like, psh, I gotta take a second drink with no question, no hesitation. So it's interesting that what comes down is I toggle with being able to honor both sides of me. And that's where I realized the change part. So for me, at least for me, and saying, okay, well, obviously you could say that a person could say, well, the change comes if one person, you know, steps up and does something different. And it's like, okay, done that, been there. It hasn't quite had long-term effects for me. Not to say that some people, you know, hey. So if I say, okay, for the example of, you know, the sensuality part, time where I've been to nudist beaches. I've pushed that comfort zone intentionally to inspire change within myself. And even here, like walk around, you know, one thing is, of course, it's very easy because the guys here are not at all interested in me sensually, which I so love. so love. But then once again, I realized none of us have any strong connections either. So whereas that's probably one of the big problems in the house, that everyone is lacking in emotional nourishment, whether they recognize it or not. So, but anyway, you know, and so even when we have all attempted to make deeper connections, it hasn't quite worked. You know, people have said things that have offended each other or done things that have offended each other. And so, yeah. So once again, it kind of goes back to what I was saying in regards to my own experience with saying, okay, I have attempted to make the change, it just hasn't worked. I've stepped out of my comfort zone. So it kind of goes back to the concept of where's the change in that. And it's not necessarily just that doing something physically or even emotionally different is going to actually inspire long-term change. I think people often, particularly people who are selling and promoting a particular healing modality or like affirmation concepts, or want to make themselves seem like they are some great motivational speaker and such, will just say, oh, well, just be the difference. Or even like how, you know, Gandhi said, you know, be the change that you want to see. It's a lot more complex, particularly for people who are very complex due to a whole lot of different traumas and different things. It's a lot more complex than just saying that. And I, interestingly, just really vibing into that for myself and what that means, what being the change actually means. Because if you're someone who just, you know, for my example, just starts walking around with very revealing clothing saying, I'm just a sensual being, I'm beautiful, and I'm just going to express that, and I get unwanted attention, that's just going to shut me down even more than I was before. And I have definitely experienced that in all the times that I have opened up and tried to be the change. The situation tended not to work out in a way that felt nourishing and affirming of the change, and I ended up just closing down further. So once again, it kind of just loops back around to you know, where's the change in that? And so I'm really excited because, one, I started off with this question with a mental vibe into it. Now I'm vibing more into it and emotional. Oh, and one little side note, one reason that my system, other than just I love this topic, the topic of sensuality also obviously relates to my desire to be in a sensual, committed relationship, you know, connected with my rainbow mist and all of that. So that's one reason that my system is just like, yeah, we're really interested in this topic, and we definitely will vibe into it from an emotional perspective, because it actually sees this topic as part of the gateway for the change. So I definitely honor that. And for people who are vibing into it and looking for potential ways of vibing into quote unquote change, long-term change for themselves, definitely will say, from my experience, vibing into it in a way that you are really inspired to, yeah, go for that. Don't force yourself to vibe into it in a way that you're not, because you probably won't, the door won't be as open. But anyway, once again, I will end with the question of where's the change in that, and we'll be very open. I'm very open and excited to see what comes out of it, because I was definitely tickled by how quickly at least the next level came from asking it earlier. Even though I think she may have sent that response beforehand, I still was very tickled that I saw it after I asked that question. I had actually saw the response prior and just like ignored it. It wasn't in alignment at the time. It wasn't in alignment at the time, and once it was is when I fully was inspired to go actually look at it, and once again look at it until a point where I really connected with it. So yeah, so once again, thanks Michelle so much. This is probably a lot more than you were expecting as a response, but hey. Once again, so where's the change in that? I love y'all. Thanks. Oh, it was at 21:22. Oh well. So once again, love y'all. Thanks, and we'll stop at 21:33.